Ethan Tingler, front tire changer for the 3-car Austin Dillon. You're listening to Back of the Pack podcast on Fantasy Focus. Hell yeah.
What's up, everyone? Welcome to episode number 24 of the Back of the Pack podcast here on Fantasy Focus, brought to you by the Original Hooters. We are post Geico 500 at Talladega, headed into the Pocono Raceway. We got racing Saturday and Sunday, boys. How you doing this week?
Doing great. Heck of a weekend, eventful weekend at Talladega, but we have 2 races this weekend, Saturday and Sunday, back-to-back, with a little truck action thrown in. I'm excited to dive into it.
For the record, I despise Pocono. I'm excited, however, to not have to participate in this particular race. But I think to start this off, we need to talk about how insane that finish was over the weekend at Talladega.
I mean, Eric Almirola, this in his fashion, he's crashing, but he finished 3rd while crashing.
Yeah.
Blaney noses out Stenhouse Jr. after he wrecks half the field, gets through the field, and almost wins. I guess it was a hell of a race. If I could watch that race every single weekend with slight variations, I would. Who wouldn't, right?
That was wildly entertaining. I enjoyed every minute of it. Recky Stenhouse almost pulled it off there, man. He was kind of one of our sleepers because I know historically he's done well at Talladega, correct?
I got a question for Freeman on that because he was really just exploiting that outside, that high lane the entire race. And the thing that baffles me is just when you look at it from an angles perspective, because I'm clearly a geometrist, I don't really understand how that could be profitable. Now, I understand that the slope angles there are as steep as they come, and that probably does bear into keeping some of that speed as you move through that higher part of the turn. Yep. I mean, am I off base there?
No, you're spot on. But what makes the difference is the runs that they generate while in those lower lanes. So when Stenhouse would take it to the top, his car was better at pulling and better at pushing than most cars. So there's certain cars that are out there that you saw leading. Those are pulling cars. Those cars can cut through the air. They have a lot of power to lead a pack, to lead the race. And there's other cars that are better pushers. So Stenhouse had the ultimate package with the car that could push and pull. He could pull out a line and bring 3 or 4 cars with him in a line that was not otherwise utilized by other drivers. So this shows how strong he is at that track, how his equipment works, how he knows his car. And really, restrictor plate racing is kind of like bending air. Like they say they can see the air around them and what generates runs, and that's really what makes the difference. So it sounds kind of corny and cheesy, but the advantage is in knowing how the air reacts to these cars and can give them runs.
So is this like Avatar, the Last Airbender?
Right? It's kind of weird. Yeah, it's drafting to the next level. So when you see cars very close on quarter panels, they're dumping air on the rear of their car to slow them down. It's very strategic. More than how your car handles is how you can impact others' runs as much as you can impact yours.
Well, I think it was interesting seeing that Logano initial burst to the front was predicated completely on exactly what you're saying. I mean, I've never seen a driver as close and as consistent, just getting right up that ass.
Yeah.
He was right up in that ass, Charlie Brown.
Logano and Blaney and even Keselowski, the 3 of those guys were, with the Penske shop, were just running track all day. And they were 1, 2, 3 for a large portion of the race. And what you saw is they were going into the turns. Joey would give him a nice good bump. Blaney would be able to carry around the corner, and he would continue to push him down the back straight. So it gets a little bit hairy the more you push in the corners, but they were able to time their runs just right to prevent others from taking advantage of their runs. And it was impressive, to say the least. And again, either of those 3 cars could have won and deserved it. It was great that Blaney won. I was glad to see him take the W. But again, we mentioned Stenhouse, we mentioned Almirola, Buescher, Nemechek, and even Ty Dillon. All these guys had good top 10, top 12 finishes in a very, very eventful race.
And of course, my boy Denny was in there. But you know what grinds my gears, pun intended? There should have been a caution flag on the last couple laps there, because let's be consistent in terms of caution flags, shall we? Because I don't remember what track it was 2 or 3 weeks ago when my boy Chase was pulling away with the win and someone in the back of the pack wrecks, and all of a sudden there's a caution flag.
Yeah, Charlotte.
Yeah, it was Charlotte. That's right. So why wasn't there a caution flag at Talladega?
So that's a good question, and NASCAR has been beat up on this for a while about their inconsistency. It's wildly improved, but there in defense of NASCAR at bigger tracks, they give crashes a bit more time to materialize. So at Talladega, you would call that kind of a self-cleaning track. And what that means is when there's a crash, most of the time it ends up off the racing surface. So when these guys were crashing in the middle of the race, one, it was not at the front of the pack. So the front 5 or 10 weren't affected, I don't believe. And it was behind the field enough that NASCAR felt comfortable to let it play out before calling the caution. So the issue was, if they would have called that caution, the race would have been official. So in an effort to give more entertainment and dropping the yellow and freezing the field effectively, they gave the time for that wreck to materialize. They realized that no driver was in immediate danger, and they allowed the race to continue. So again, it's a little bit of a judgment call. If you polled the field, I think that it would be applauded more than not that they allowed the race to finish under green, but I completely understand where you're coming from.
You're a selfish fan, Ryan Levy.
Oh yeah,
That's who you are.
Don't get me wrong. I didn't actually want one. I'm just trying to play devil's advocate here because I was hooting and hollering, screaming at the TV, and I was wildly entertained.
Who was leading at that point? Was it one of your guys?
Well, Denny was close. Like I felt like Denny was going to pull it off. I was just kind of I was pulling for a restart there because I think I had in our pool. I think I had, was it Slowly? I don't remember who I had.
Maybe Truex?
It was Truex. And Truex was like, whatever. He was like in 15th at the time. And I was like, okay, restart. Now I got a chance. And then it didn't happen. I was like, oh, come on. You got to be you're kidding me.
No, see, that's the selfish man in you. Personally, I was screaming like, let's keep this shit going because this is electric right now. Cars are flying. We're bumping. We're banging. And we're riding full speed in this finish line. I liked what I saw. And I'm glad we kept it going. And what you said makes sense. Everything flows downhill.
Yeah, it was entertaining. And I think that, 9 times out of 10, they would keep that call, but it's a judgment call every single time. And there's someone in the tower that's calling, put it out or not. And until those words are heard, the person in the flag stand isn't going to drop that yellow. So I was genuinely entertained by the race and the outcome of it. And I'm excited for a doubleheader this weekend at Pocono as my dog.
As a fellow flow master,
it's extremely loud.
As a flow master myself, I'm proud of Blaney because he's clearly on the same, hair and Rogaine regiment that I'm on.
Oh yeah. That's back to back for him too at Talladega now.
Yeah. And 5 of the last 8 for his team. So as you can tell, my dog is rehydrating, and it's a very loud noise. Sorry.
Sounds like me chugging a beer.
Right?
Yeah.
The thing that I'm excited about, I'm really starting to get into NASCAR more, and I think this is something we've talked about for the last few months since quarantine started and all that. I hope that the ratings are continuing to go up because I genuinely feel like more people are getting into NASCAR. I mean, Bucky and I are in a group chat with a lot of guys we grew up with, and it's exciting to see guys that have never watched NASCAR in their lives
that even hated on it.
Like, right turns, whatever.
Left turns, but
I know, but like
say it's right turns. Yeah,
they say it to be smartasses, of course, but like, when they're all texting in the group and screaming and glued to the television on a Sunday, it warms my heart because NASCAR is growing and I think them getting racing going during these times, fans or no fans, has been awesome. So I'm excited.
I agree, and it's been so fun to see new people associated with the sport and getting excited about it. So that makes me, as a longtime fan of NASCAR, really excited about the future and how the sport's going to continue to change to appeal to fans new and old. So I'm excited to continue to dive into it and just speak NASCAR to anyone who's interested in listening about it.
Yeah, absolutely. So what do we need to know about Pocono Raceway?
Well, I think Hamsteak has some experience on Pocono. He can tell you what to expect and what to want to avoid. I want to hear what he hates about that racetrack first.
So, number one, it's the second turn. that second almost 90-degree turn that's extremely angled, and it bothers me every time I come into it. I can't ever figure out how to space it out because you have the long hypotenuse, which is the starting line and the finish line right in the middle of that hypotenuse. And that you can get really going during that straightaway.
Yep.
But the first turn is not a very complex turn. You can nail this turn pretty simply. The real skill comes into that second turn because it's not a very long distance between that first turn and this second almost 90-degree angle. And
it sneaks up on you.
Yeah. Is it a 90-degree angle?
Not quite. I think it's pretty close to it. They call it a tunnel. Is turn 2 a tunnel turn? But either way, I mean, it's a 3-turn track, 6, depending on who you ask, like already throwing curveballs at you. So, what happens after the second turn? Where do you go wrong?
Well, it's the second turn in that I like to get that juice going down the straightaway, and I nail the angle on the first turn. Well, the problem is if you don't start out wide enough going into the second turn, you're really in bad shape because it drags on forever and you lose grip from what I've experienced. I mean, this is on a virtual simulation, but I mean, I experienced if you try to cut that turn in real tight, you need to be going at very low speeds compared to the rest of the race cars. Yep. So you got to just master that angle to be able to cut it to where by the time you finish that drift, you're just right up on the wall, and then the speed is right there for you again. But it's very hard to master that. The third turn doesn't concern me all that much. It really, for me, it boils down to that second turn, that big long turn, and it really is a son of a gun.
It is, and you'll see drivers really go wrong at that track too on Saturday and Sunday because it is a turn that's most different than the others in the sense that we're not used to having that many unique unique aspects of a racetrack, right? So we have a whole different element in a turn in this track, and just like you said, if you don't approach it appropriately and high and take it low, you're gonna either overcut someone or someone's going to undercut you. So you're going to see a lot of that, brake checking and kind of pushing it a little bit further in a turn 2. That's where a lot of accidents happen because, with the momentum, if you don't come off turn 2 well and you can't get into turn 3 well, you're going to screw your lap up because that long straightaway, you're not going to have the momentum to carry through the lap. So look for those cars that roll well and can quote unquote fire off the turns best to really have that long-term speed because the tricky triangle, Pocono is a long run track. It's wide. It's got a lot of space. If you go 5 or 10 laps without a caution, don't expect one for a while because the field will get very spread out. So be aware of how you pick your DFS picks based on, different leaders. You're not going to have 30 or 40 lead changes like we did at Talladega. You're going to have 8, 9, 10, depending on how the cautions fall. So a lot more at play as far as, what to consider from a pick perspective when at Pocono compared to Talladega, I think.
From my very extended experience there at the beautiful track there in, is it Pond Mill, Pennsylvania?
Long Pond.
Pond Mill, Long Pond Mill, tomato. The first turn is the simplest turn because you're just tightening up right off of it. So it allows you to kind of just sit in and gun it off it. Second turn is a real son of a gun. Third turn is a bit easier because the angle, it's just flat and you're able to just cut right through it. And that's what they want, right? They want the drama at the finish line. So they want that to be a little bit easier going, but it is a tougher turn than turn 1. So I hate this track because I can't race well there. It's Cliff Hamstake the third. I just can't do it. It is my Achilles heel. I have no game there whatsoever.
Yeah, and you're gonna see the drivers have the same issues, and it's there's gonna be a big spread in the best versus the worst. Especially with no practice at a track as challenging as Pocono. I think many are going to have the same concerns as Mr. Hamstake.
So Levy, there's no real rhythm in this race course, which I think makes it the hardest track that I've actually played on. Shout out to Loon there. I mean, I whip race cars. I mean, I do that with a joystick and
he's an e-athlete
and a right trigger.
Yes.
That's all I do, but I do it well on occasion, just not at Pocono. But the fact of this race is there's no rhythm the way you get into a race and you find your grooves and you just know exactly when to let off a little bit, get that clutch going and just let it go. You find those grooves where that makes it so simple. And it's just a rotational rhythm that you have through the racetrack and you feel it. You don't have that at Pocono. It just feels like the angle on the second turn is shorter than the angle going into the third turn, or the straightaway, I should say. So that third turn is not the same. So there's no rhythm through these turns compared to what these guys are used to. And I'm so excited to watch it because for once, I don't need to have despair in my heart post Pocono.
I was gonna say it just shows you how realistic these virtual tracks are. I mean, if you're just tuning in here for the first time and you don't know Bucky, aka Cliff Hamstake III, he is not a real NASCAR driver, but Freeman, how spot on was Hamstake's analysis of Pocono Raceway based on his virtual experience?
It's right there. You're going to hear the drivers saying the exact same thing all race, Saturday and Sunday. You know, again, doubleheader, same track, 2 days in a row, no practice. Again, the nickname is Tricky Triangle. You're not going to just mosey in there and walk away with a W and, you know, just be in the right place at the right time. There's a lot of things that have to go the right way for you to win at this track. And again, I think one of the big guns is going to win. You know, you see a lot of these drivers like Kyle Busch and Harvick still as front runners. You know, Busch has won I think we noted 3 of the last 5 or 6 races here. So, you know, there's a lot of success from the top dogs at this track. You have 1 or 2 strategy wins over the years, but you know, Blaney got his first win here. So he's someone who's coming off a lot of momentum. We always talk about momentum. He's someone who can take a W here very easily, especially with the strength of, you know, his stable and the Ford. So Cliff Hamstake's right on with the big boys of the league. They're going to be saying the exact same thing and having the same concerns Saturday and Sunday.
The thing that I find most interesting here, Toyota has won this race 5 consecutive races.
Let's go, Denny.
Over the last 2.5 years. And that's in a compact period here. This isn't 5 years, 5 races. This is 2.5 years, 5 races. Toyota been on top.
Yep. And that's during the time where NASCAR and many of the drivers felt Toyota had an unfair advantage from a horsepower perspective. So the reason we haven't seen Toyota as successful this year with the drivers like Kyle Busch, while they have been successful with the Denny Hamlin of the world, they think that there's been some tightening, if you will, from Ford and Chevy manufacturing perspective, either greater equalizing the field. So, you know, the ebbs and flows of the strings in the different manufacturers come and go. But I'm excited to see other drivers outside of Toyota shop really show some success at Pocono. If I'm not mistaken, I think the drivers outside of Toyota who have won at Pocono have been Ford. So, you know, Ford's on a heavy win streak here. Penske's stable is as strong. I think it's really hard to bet against any of those 3 cars in the Penske stable.
Freeman, let me ask you this. Why are the races so short? I know we have back-to-back days. Is that why?
Yeah, exactly. So usually that race is pretty long in itself, you know, a 500-mile race. So what they're doing in an effort to get, you know, a little bit of diversity on the schedule and change things up and draw more attention is they're cutting that race, you know, by a little bit and having 2, you know, 2/3 length races. So many of the complaints from many fans in NASCAR over the years have been the races are too long. We're trying to find that sweet spot between, you know, long enough and not too long. And this is kind of one of those real life experiments of seeing, hey, how will this be received, you know, and what will be the feedback?
Does that impact the odds to you at all? I mean, if I'm just looking at Saturday, for example, Kyle Busch is the favorite. He's a big favorite at plus 450. I know we talked about it last week. I believe at Talladega, the best odds were like plus 700 to win. Harvick plus 700, Truex plus 700, Chase and Denny at plus 8, as long as Kez is plus 800 as well. So, yeah, I mean, how do you? If you're looking to throw down a bet, if it's a shorter track, do you lean towards, you know, certain guys or a shorter race, not shorter track, I should say?
So shorter distant race, I'm always going to take away the advantage of the bigger teams. There is less time to make a mistake. So what that means is 1 or 2 less pit stops means that someone who maybe, you know, hit something right on a setup isn't going to have as much of a concern to reverse that change that helped them so much. So the person in the first pit box, that advantage is a little bit less because they're not going to have as many pit stops, and things like that. So if you're looking at these races, who was leading at the 2/3 mark versus the end. And it's very similar in this track, right? The person who is leading, unless there's a lot of cautions, usually leads the race and prevails very quickly. So, there will be a number of strong drivers that will show themselves.
Everything okay?
That will show themselves in the first stage, and they'll be front runners the whole time.
Nice composure there, Freeman.
Yeah, the dog's running after the cat. My zookeeper has left me, and I'm kind of naked.
You're a man alone at sea.
Oh man, I love it. All right, so what do we want to get into here, boys?
I want to hear your picks for the weekend. So we're thinking a lot about momentum. We have some front runners who really haven't been front running of recent that are favorites. So like as a fan, who do you see prevailing here? Because I keep jumping back and forth between going my gut and say Kyle Busch is going to pick a W here, or going with the momentum and the favorite and saying Blaney has success, and a lot of things are pointing in his favor.
All right, I'm going to jump in here first. I do feel like Kyle Busch is definitely due for a win here, and the Busch brothers have surely dominated at this track historically. But for me, I got to stay true to my colors, and I'm not going to say Chase. I am not going to say Chase, even though he is always near and dear to my heart. What I'm going to go with here is Mr. Consistency, and it's Denny Hamlin. He's got 11 top 5 finishes at this track. He's got 5 wins here, and he's been racing good all year. I know he's got some wins this year, but I feel like even lately, he probably could have had a couple more wins. So I'm going to go with Denny here at plus 800. That's my pick. I'm putting it all in the middle. I'm going all in. My Monkey Knife Fight account is back at 0 again, but I'm going to win Denny.
Love it. It's a great pick. He's someone that we look at every single week, and he's always there, right? So again, it's really hard to pick against Denny when he's had so much success here, 5 wins, leading active drivers, and he's just had so much success this year. So I don't see anything wrong with that one.
What you got?
This one's it's going to be Busch Light. It's going to be Kevin Harvick. Lord knows if he comes out in the Hunt brothers, the tables have turned on him. Can't trust the Hunt brothers pizza as far as you can smell it. Because you can't smell those very well if you've ever been into a regional gas station that offers that. So I'm going to say Harvick for me is the guy who's finished with 12 top 5s, 18 top 10s. Sure, he's had the most races by a long shot. Not to Kurt Busch at 37, but you have Kyle Busch there at 30. So, I mean, he has the most opportunity, but 12 top 5s is goddamn impressive. The other guy that I really am looking to bounce back is Martin Truex Jr. He's, for me, I'm going to say my number 1 pick would be Harvick. Number 2 is Martin Truex Jr.
Solid. Yeah. And those 3, I think, had open. They had the 3, between Busch, Harvick, and Truex, they had the 3, they're the 3 favorites rather. So all 3 of those guys have had success at this racetrack and have wins. Again, Truex is in a Toyota, and he has won 2 races here in the last few years, along with Kyle Busch. So look for those guys to continue to have success. And I'm just excited to see how it changes from day to day, right? So the race on Saturday, the top 20 will be inverted, and the 20th finishing driver will start first, much like we had with the Darlington situation. So when you're looking at this and thinking about the race, do you think that what we're talking about will be as applicable on Sunday as it will be on Saturday?
No.
Why not?
I mean, well, so for me, it's just like I don't think you can't even put Monkey Knife Fight bets in yet for Sunday, correct?
Correct.
Okay, so I guess so. We'll see what happens. I don't know. I need to pay closer attention to the standings on Sunday. I got to get right here on Monkey Knife Fight.
Yeah, we need to get a hot streak going again. We had a first couple of weeks were nice and warm, but we've been cooling off here the last couple of weeks. Time to turn it around.
Well, you know what it is? It's because I've been I've been sharing my screen, so I think it's time for us to share Bucky's screen.
I mean, I feel like I need a parka in this igloo because I'm parkaless. We're so cold.
Let's warm it up then. Let's do it.
All right, so Bucky's gonna share his screen here. Once it pops up on my end, I will share it. But if you've never played on Monkey Knife Fight before, make sure you are depositing with the code FOCUS. Deposit $50, get $50 free. It doesn't get any easier than that. And in terms of the Monkey Knife Fight scoring, I know this by heart now. It's sad. You get 1/10 of a point for every lap led. And you get 20 points for finishing in first, 19 points for second, 18 points for third, and so on down the line. And Bucky is so good at his technical skills, he just kicked himself right out of the stream.
the picks were so bad, he just kicked them out.
I'm having technical difficulties here. Call it an Apple problem.
It's okay. It's okay, Buck. I can share my screen. I'm just not sure.
No.
Let's verbal meme it here. We can just talk it out loud with the numbers, overs and unders, more or less.
No verbal memes. Let me put it together here. Hold on. We almost have a complete product.
Freeman, while he's doing that, is there anything else you're keeping your eye on before we get into it, headed into this weekend?
I'm looking at Nemechek. Nemechek's someone who has had a lot of success. You know, when we first came back at Darlington, he's overachieving, you know, many weeks, and he had a top 10 finish at Talladega. He continues to be in the right place at the right time with an underfunded team. I think he's someone whose stock is on the climb. And I think a lot of these middle and back of the pack guys are trying to make a name for themselves. Some of these seats that are going to be opening up in the next year or two. So I'm looking ahead a little bit and how important these races are for some of these young guns' career and showing how successful they can be in some of this lower equipment and show that they deserve some of these bigger seats. So you know, these are the races that really show that. You know, the Poconos and the very unique tracks. So I'm excited to see how some of these young guns really show up and make a name for themselves.
All right, I love it. All right, so we got Bucky's screen pulled up here finally. So let's get into it, shall we?
All right, perfect. Let's do this. So you guys are just seeing Monkey Knife Fight, right?
Looks like you got some other banners up there, Buck. What do you
shit.
How to podcast, lose weight while drinking. Best pancakes, Bucky.
Ooh, you a pancake or a waffle guy?
I'm both, as you can tell. I don't need judgment. Why are these up there?
Oh yeah, you know, this is the first time Bucky shared his screen. We're trying to change our luck here, so you'll have
bullshit,
to.
Man.
That's embarrassing.
I thought we were beyond that. I tried learning some things on the internet. That's all I do.
Oh man,
lose weight while drinking did not come up with good results, by the way.
Better luck next time, Buck.
Yeah, I'm gonna keep scouring, Freeman. Let's get into this here. What are we liking in terms of matchups this week?
I always stick to the more or lesses, the 2 for 2s or 3 and 4. That's where I've had success, and that's where, you know, we have a little bit more ability to control our own success, if you will.
Yeah, you definitely want to fade Levy in terms of Monkey Knife Fight, because I just can't seem to stay away from the Levy bag of donuts or the super bag of donuts, the 12X or the 24X. So unfortunately, I goosed my account this past weekend for like the 5th week in a row. So I got a few items on eBay right now that I'm looking to sell by the weekend so that I can get some cash so that my wife doesn't know about me depositing on Monkey Knife Fight for the 5th week in a row.
PayPal is not real. So
yeah,
he's already selling his Denny Hamlin gear for gambling money. So he is just he's on the edge of the cliff, but we're gonna make it out.
Yeah, that shirt that Levy wore last week is actually on eBay currently.
So you can have it now if you follow the link in the description.
You can have it.
So we're going with the luck of Buck this week.
Oh, I like that.
All right, we're going with the luck of Buck. Obviously, a lot of questions to ask in my life, but if there's not one, it is my ability to pick winners. For this one, I like Kyle Busch quite a bit. However, I think Harvick has been the more consistent racer. I'm saying more. I'd like to hear both of your input there at 17.5, which, as we know, is quite a large number.
Yeah. I big number. I agree with you more. I think Harvick is Mr. Consistency. And then at 17.5, that's a top 3 finish without laps led, or a reasonable top 7, top 5 with some laps led. So he has strong power in Ford. Teammates have been consistent over the past few weeks. He's got some dubs this year. I think it's a good pick for Harvick.
Yeah, I'm on board with that. I mean, the old vet, he's got more races here than anybody. What'd you say, $38? So, I mean, he knows that tricky triangle better than most. So I am on board with Kevin Harvick more than 17.5 fantasy points.
By the way, the Pocono Organics 325. I looked up Pocono Organics because it just stuck out to me. It just seems like a beautiful organic farm.
Big old farm.
It's just a big old farm. Like, what a great sponsor for NASCAR. I like farming. Kyle Busch, starting at 4, more or less 17.5. I don't know. For me, Freeman, Levy, he's been so inconsistent in terms of closing out the race recently, but he's rocking the mini peanut M&Ms now. How do you even have a mini peanut M&M?
Well, now it's something new, right? So maybe it'll change his luck because he has not had any last few weeks.
Are they actually cutting the peanut in half? Like they're just splitting the nuts and then wrapping them in chocolate and candy?
I'll tell you what, they're not organic. So I'm not feeling great about it.
Or grown on farms. Well, I guess nuts are.
Yeah, nuts could be, but
Chocolate
M&M's
farm.
nuts are not organic. Let's call a spade a spade. The nuts they're using are not organic, but they're delicious and very salty.
So if you had organic nuts, would you say more than 17.5?
Yep.
So since he does not have organic nuts, we're going to go less here.
I'm going to go less only because of that inconsistent finishing ability for him. He kind of reminds me of Logano right now. They're kind of in that same group of guys.
Right. They're around, but not around at the right time.
Yep. They're around early, and then they're just fading late.
I mean, I'm on board with this. I'm nervous about it because I feel like he's due. There's no doubt he is due for a domination.
It seems sacrilegious. I understand that. But let's say Busch doesn't lead a lap in this race, which I think is probably not the case. He's going to lead, in my opinion, 15 to 20 laps. So then you go 1.5 to – I don't think he's finishing in the top 6. I don't. So for me, 17.5 makes sense.
All right.
I agree there.
I'm in.
He's just a big name with the experience at the track, but I don't think that M&M's minis. If he would have came out full, like balls out, M&M peanuts, boom, he's up there. But he's minis, and he might race like a mini.
Fair enough.
Oh, now you're seeing my other bets there.
You got some going there, huh?
Yeah. Just doing a little thing here.
Bucky's deep in the monkey knife fight hole right now.
I really do love it. All right, more or less 3 out of 4. Are we going to stick with our guns here with Harvick more? I am. He's been far more consistent than most of the field.
Yeah, I think we stick to the first 2 bets here, and then we have some hard decisions to make for the second 2.
I'm going to go, for me, I want less on Truex and more on Denny.
I'll hear it. I will hear that out. Obviously I root for Truex because I just love his personality. I think he's just a cantankerous racer, and
great sponsor.
I mean, Bass Pro Shops. If he comes out in the BPS shop, I mean, he's going to look pretty good.
I agree. And if I'm looking at those 3, though, we from the start we've said Harvick, Kyle Busch, and Martin Truex are the favorites going into it. I think Truex is going to have the worst day out of the 3, and I think Harvick is arguably going to have the best. So I think those numbers support some of our early projections. And with Denny, Mr. W in Pocono, if he's got 5 wins here, it's pretty hard to say that he's not going to have more than 16.5 points.
I feel like this is a good one. 3 out of 4. So we have leeway with both of these fellas. but I am leaning more towards this being good and this being good.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. I think that's sound logic.
Yep. And we've got a little bit of wiggle room with 3 out of 4. So something fun to play on.
It's submitted. And let's get to the donuts here, huh?
Oh, we're going donut. All right.
Watch Bucky hit it the first time.
We will do this on my account every time.
It's going to happen. This is going to be the week we hit the bag of donuts.
You have the 20X Sixer.
See, I'm going to start from the back. This is a Levy move. I've learned. I'm going more on Chase Elliott here.
I mean, you're not going to hear an argument from me on Chase.
If we stick to our guns though from the other ones, we're saying that we're pretty much projecting 3 of the top 4 or 5 finishers.
Yep.
Feel good about that?
I do.
Can't win if you don't play.
There it is. Hey, if we hit one, we hit them all here, boys. This is a pretty fun lineup we got going.
It's gonna be a tenner. We're going for the hundy.
Oh.
Boom.
Oh man,
kill him.
I love it. There we go.
I should tweet
gotta play to win.
I should tweet that.
You should. I'll retweet you, Buck.
Oh, you better believe
go.
Retweet. Those are some good picks. You want to do one more? Mix it up.
We're going with the Adderall uppers and downers here. 20X.
Oh man. So now we got to mix it up a little bit here, right?
Yeah. I'll double this one down and give you 100 bones if you hit this one.
The problem with these and this is Monkey Knife Fight. I hope you're watching. I wish you would just mix it up for the 6-pack.
Right?
All right, so we got the Levy bag of donuts is the 5 of 5. I think this is the Bucky 6-pack.
the Bucky Sunday afternoon.
What do you mean Sunday morning?
What if we just mix it up with the 6-pack and put I don't know, a Tyler Reddick plus or minus 3 points or 5 points. Some of these middle of the pack guys who don't have top 20 average finishes who could sneak in with a top 17 and make some bettors happy or ruin their day by not scoring any points and being a trash can. So I think that would be super fun.
Oh, I agree.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. After we do this, Freeman, let's take a look at some of the others, just so people out there that are watching that want to play the other ones.
So for me, I'm going to go the complete opposite of what we've done so far because of the way these odds stack out. 20X. I'm going to go more with Kyle, more with Martin, less with Denny, less with Chase, and I'm going to get Kez snaking it. How do y'all feel about that?
Well, whatever statement ends with Kez snaking it is about 90% right. So I'm feeling good about your picks here.
And he's been quite successful at the track.
Yeah, and he is one of those guys. He's kind of the old crown who's been around for a while, knows the track, and can push out a consistent finish. And again, he knows where to be at the right time to capitalize on others' mistakes at these challenging tracks. So it's a skill. It's not, it's a little bit of luck, but it's more skill. I think that Kez definitely has a good shot at overachieving here this weekend. What
do you think about the strategy here, Levy?
I mean, I'm on board with it for sure. If someone's going to pull it out of their ass, it's going to be Kez. He loves to just lurk in the shadows and just strike when the iron's hot.
Although I kind of want to do this.
I really think Denny's going to win. So that's the only critique I had for you there. I'm not kidding when I say I'm going, since I don't gamble anymore. DFS doesn't count as gambling. So don't call me out in the comments.
It's a skill game.
It's a skill game of skill, even though I don't have much NASCAR skill yet. I am fine-tuning my craft right now.
Yes, you're
collecting skill.
Yes, I am. But I am I'm going to Venmo after I sell my Denny shirt on eBay. I'm going to Venmo one of my friends $25 on Denny to win so they can place that plus 800 bet for me.
Oof.
What do you feel about
your Monkey Knife Fight balance around real quick?
That's it.
What do you feel about that move here, Freeman? Just flipping those.
Well, I mean, you just made it nice and symmetrical. So, we're not at a symmetrical track. I like that you have some symmetry in your bets. So let's go for it.
Yep.
It looks like a Bucky Scantron test circa 2005. He's got a nice little pattern going there.
And you would know what my Scantron pattern.
I haven't heard Scantron in so long. Oh, well, it's PTSD.
All right. So, Buck, while you're in there, just show some of the other contests real quick to see if there's anything else that Freeman's got any thoughts on.
Rapid fires.
Yeah, a little rapid fire. I love a little rapid fire. What do we got there?
Even with an advantage, I mean, we think Harvick's going to win outright over Busch, and with a half-point advantage. I mean, again, that's 5 laps, half a position. That's the difference of the last lap at most tracks. So I think we go with Harvick here if we're going to continue with our previous picks.
Yeah, for me, if I'm looking at this quick, I would go Harvick over Busch, of course, with the half a point there. I'm going to go.
Wait. We're adding funds.
Bucky's got his card saved.
Yeah, he's going to show his credit card information. Everyone's going to be depositing money on Bucky's dime.
No,
Nah.
Dude, it's too easy to deposit on this site. Like, it remembers whatever you did. You just have to click one button. It's scary.
I'm in now, boys. We're going Harvick.
Harvick. Denny here. I mean, again, we're talking about Mr. Win in Pocono.
And for me, I'm going to go Chase with points pretty much over anyone but Denny any day of the week.
I like that. Again, we're going with a lot of our picks, and that aligns pretty strongly with most of our previous picks. So I think that's a winner. Harvick over Busch, even outright. Hamlin over Truex, and then Elliott over Kez. As long as he doesn't wreck him.
I'm going Kez because it's my money.
Watch him win.
He will. This is going to be the week we clean house on Monkey Knife Fight. I can feel it.
Look, I might be the heel of this old show of ours, but I'm going to keep heeling on like I'm wearing Heelys, cruising on you fools down the sidewalk.
Another rapid fire.
Oh, we're getting deep here. Let's
So
go.
this is pick 2 of 2 for 2.5. I like the look of that.
You're going to mix it up here and hedge your bets? You're pretty confident about where you were.
I'm going to have to start hedging, so y'all just wax eloquently about where you're at.
I'm telling you, Busch is due, man. He's due.
The Toyotas are as a whole, right? Outside of Denny, most Toyotas haven't really had much success. So, he's carrying the pennant for most of those teams. I'm confident that Harvick's going to have a good day. But Truex is just such a toss-up. He could be cruising around at 35, or he could be, lapping the field. So he's my big unknown in the matchups that we've been picking. But in the end, I think I'm going to go with Denny. I think it's smart to hedge your bets here, though, Buck.
Yeah, I agree with this hedge here, Buck. Go Truex on this one.
Yeah, I'm going to hedge it. Just, hopefully I can get a little kickback here.
It's a baby hedge.
Well, it's a hedge.
It's
It's a smaller bet.
Stop worrying about it.
Smaller bet. I mean, I'm not going for the big stuff, but we got some good ones going here this week, boys.
Yeah, we're gonna have a lot of action. I'm gonna need to screenshot that so we can so I can get some of those picks on my account.
Yes, absolutely. All right. So, any closing thoughts headed into the Pocono Raceway, Mr. Freeman?
We're doubling up this weekend. More double headers. So Saturday and Sunday races at Pocono. We have the trucks racing on Saturday, and then we'll have a few days off. So get your drinking fists ready and put some new remotes, new batteries in your remote. As I can't speak. 2 days of racing ahead of us.
Put your remotes in your batteries.
There you go.
So
And don't forget to deposit again.
when are the trucks on? When do we have the trucks?
The trucks are on Saturday early afternoon, I believe.
And then the first race on Saturday is at 3:30.
Yes, sir.
3:30 Eastern time, I believe so.
What time is it on Sunday? I'm too lazy, and I want our people to know.
4
I think it's
o'clock.
4. Yeah.
So they're consolidating it instead of breaking it up like usually at Pocono.
What do you mean?
What? When's the Cup race? Saturday.
The Cup race. Yeah, 2 Cup races, one Saturday, one Sunday, and the truck race is on Saturday before the Cup race.
What time is it on Sunday?
4, I think.
Okay, I'm in.
Here it is. I got it all for you. Trucks are on Saturday at 12:30.
Yeah.
Cup Series 3:30 on Saturday.
Yeah.
Cup Series Sunday at 4 o'clock. We got so much racing. You won't even be able to see straight by the end of this weekend.
Yeah.
I want to go fast.
We're going real fast.
Real fast.
All right, I'll hold off on
All right,
drinking
boys.
until
It's
2.
It's been fun. This has been episode 24. If you've just coming across our channel, make sure and you're subscribing on YouTube, or if you're listening to the audio version on the podcast, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Drop us a review. Appreciate all the love and support. Follow us on social media at BackOTPack or at Fantasy Focused. And we will see you guys next week. Good luck this week.
Thanks, guys. See you soon.
Thank you all.